Today you don't have headlines. Good afternoon and welcome to Spectrum Television News at noon. I am Uyai MM, coming to you live from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State Capital. Let's take a look at the headlines. Court nullifies PDP convention in Ibadan. Governor commends Ibom Air for sustaining impressive standard and quality service delivery. In other news, Trump says Republicans and Democrats reach funding package deal. We'll bring you the details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. We begin the news at noon from the national scene, where the federal government will save about 5.06 trillion naira annually from cutting down on the importation of defense equipment. The Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawale, announced this in Abuja while unveiling X-Shield Light tactical armored vehicle produced by a defense and security solutions provider. Matawale hinted that the government would end the importation of defense equipment in the next 5 years. Represented by the Director General of the Defense Industry Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, Major General Babatunde Alaya, the minister said the unveiling represented more than a product launch, but signified the successful convergence of security needs, indigenous capabilities, industrial expertise, and commercial opportunity. He said the vehicles are designed for the realities of modern operations, which include mobility, protection, adaptability, and survivability, while remaining cost-effective and suitable for local production and sustainment. On judicial matters, a federal high court sitting in Ibadan has nullified the People's Democratic Party (PDP) National Convention, which held in Ibadan, Oyo State, November 15, 2025. The court barred members of the Tanimu Turaki-led National Working Committee from parading themselves as national officers of the PDP. The court also ruled that the caretaker committee led by Mohammed Abdurrahman and Senator Samuel Anyanwu is the only recognized NWC of the PDP, pending the conduct of a valid national convention. The court ruling is the latest twist in the protracted crisis rocking the PDP. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has fixed February 21st for by-elections to fill vacant seats in the Kano State House of Assembly. The All Progressives Congress (APC), the New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP), the Action Democratic Party (ADP), and 8 other parties have shown interest in the by-elections, following an assurance by the Electoral Empire to ensure hitch-free polls. Recall that INEC had earlier served a notice of election into the 6 area councils in the Federal Capital Territory and 2 state constituencies in Rivers State. In Kano, the parties will be jostling to fill vacant seats in Kano Municipal and the Unogogo state constituencies. The vacancies were created by the demise of 2 lawmakers representing the areas, Aminu Unogogo representing Unogogo state constituency and Saraki Daneji representing Kano Municipal constituency. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidu Shaibu, has declared that a strong warrior ethos remains the bedrock of combat readiness, unit cohesion, and operational success of the Nigerian Army, warning that post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and drug abuse are emerging internal threats capable of weakening frontline effectiveness. The Chief of Army Staff spoke at a high-level seminar organized by the Army Headquarters Department of Transformation and Innovation, themed Warrior Ethos, a tool for building unit cohesion, in auditorium. He was represented by the theater commander of the Major General Wara Idris, The Army chief said modern military operations demand not only advanced weaponry and tactics, but also mentally resilient and morally grounded soldiers. He noted that prolonged counterinsurgency and internal security operations across the country have exposed troops to intense psychological pressure, making issues such as PTSD and substance abuse critical concerns for military leadership. In a separate development, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, has extended the loan application deadline for the 2025-2026 academic session for January 31st to February 27 in a statement in Abuja by its Director OD Strategic Communications Oshayemi Oluwatoyi. The agency explained that the extension was aimed at giving prospective applicants additional time to complete and submit their applications. The statement said this would ensure that no eligible student is excluded due to timing constraints. The agency advised all prospective applicants who have not applied or completed their applications to take advantage of the extended deadline and ensure that all required information is submitted on or before February 27. In another development, Edo State Governor Mondo Pebolo has approved a minor change to his cabinet. A statement from the Secretary to the State Government, Umar Ikilo, announced the changes, disclosed that the reshuffle, which involved 3 key appointments, is aimed at strengthening governance and efficiency in the state administration. Gani Audu, former Chief of Staff, has been nominated as Commissioner for Oil and Gas Resources, pending confirmation by the Edo State House of Assembly. Vincent Osaz Owade has been redeployed from the Ministry of Oil and Gas Resources to the Ministry of Lands and Housing as Commissioner. Also, Yakubu Oshorino Musa, previously Commissioner for Lands and Housing, is now Chief of Staff to the Governor. The changes take effect from today, January 30, 2026. According to the statement, the Governor said he is confident the adjustments will enhance coordination, policy implementation, and governance in their state. Back on the home front, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino says his administration is deliberately using indigenous contractors to create more jobs and empower young entrepreneurs with the aim of boosting economic growth and prosperity in the state. The governor stated this during an inspection visit to different project sites on arrival from an official engagement outside the state. He commended the indigenous contractors for their spirit of industry and excellence, as evidenced in their timely and quality delivery, which he said is typical of all hard-working Akwa Ibomites. Fielding questions from Government House correspondents at the equipment leasing company located at Ekprin Ford, where he visited after the aviation village and Dakada luxury estate. The governor expressed delight at their commitment and urged other youths to emulate them and take advantage of the numerous opportunities available through ongoing projects across the state. Governor, who stated that the equipment leasing company project will be commissioned on the 27th of February, reiterated his administration's commitment to youth empowerment, in line with the human capital development vision of the Arise agenda, and charged youths to rise and take up challenges by joining hands to build a greater Akwa Ibom and provide jobs for other youths. In the meantime, Governor Moino has described Ibom Air, the state-owned airline, as the most excellent in service delivery in Nigeria. Responding to questions from Government House correspondents on his arrival at the Victor Atta International Airport, the governor commended the airline for its impressive standard and sustained excellence, which has enabled it to become a symbol of emulation for other airlines in the country, assuring that he will always fly with the airline. Governor Eno had boarded Ibom Air with other passengers who received various gifts from the state leader. Meanwhile, addressing the passengers on board, the governor thanked them for their consistent patronage of the airline. He promised the passengers that Ibom Air will keep on providing quality services in line with international standard and assured of the state government's continued support for the airline and also its readiness to make the airport one of the best in the country. Moving on to Africa, where Burkina Faso's military government has dissolved all political parties whose activities had been suspended since the military rulers seized power in 2022. Captain Ibrahim Traoré took over in a September 2022 coup after toppling another junta. Reports say parties were previously banned from holding public gatherings but still allowed to operate internally. The presidency said in a readout of a cabinet meeting that government believes the proliferation of political parties has led to abuses, fueled divisions among citizens and weakened the social fabric. Meanwhile, the Territorial Administration Minister Emile Zebo said a draft law dissolving political parties will now be sent to the Transitional Legislative Assembly as soon as possible. On the foreign scene, United States President Donald Trump has said that Republicans and Democrats in the Senate have reached an agreement to move forward with parts of a funding package. Senate Democrats and Republicans agreed to a package of 5 spending bills, but removed a 6th bill from the package related to funding for the Department of Homeland Security, DHS. Reports say funding for DHS will continue at its current amount for 2 weeks while both sides work out a new deal to fund the agency. The deal approves funding for the Defense Department, the Health Department, the Treasury, the Federal Court System, and other agencies until the end of 2026 fiscal year on September 30. Still on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened to impose 50% tariffs on Canadian planes in retaliation for Canada steadfastly refusing to certify a number of planes made by U.S. firm Gulfstream. In a social media post, Trump also said he was decertifying all aircraft made in Canada. The president also pledged new tariffs on countries that sell oil to Cuba as the president steps off its pressure on the Caribbean nations. Communist leadership. The proposed new levies were outlined in an executive order, but no details have been given about specific tariff rates or which countries could be targeted. Still to come in the news. Carlos Alcaraz beats Zverev in epic to reach final. Stay tuned for details of this and more after the break. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. And now to the rest of the news stories. On our business news, the Independent Media and Policy Initiative has projected that Nigeria's gross domestic product will reach 5.5% in 2026, driven by what it describes as the new economic model deployed by President Bola Tinubu. This was disclosed in a policy statement signed by its chairman, Dr. Omoniyi Akinsuji, maintaining that its 5.5% GDP growth projection would trump that of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Recall that the IMF forecast a 4.4% growth for Nigeria in 2026 on stabilizing macroeconomic trends. This is the highest GDP growth projection by the IMF over the last 17 years, a real expression of confidence in the Nigerian economy. Still in business, Nigeria's currency, the naira, has traded below the 1,400 naira per dollar level on the official market for the first time in over a year, making a notable psychological and market milestone for the currency. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) show that the Nigeria foreign exchange market rate strengthened to 1,396 naira per dollar yesterday, up from 1,400 naira per dollar on Wednesday. The move confirms the naira's return below 1,400 naira per dollar after an extended period of trading above that level. On our health news, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NARD) has issued a 4-week ultimatum to the federal government to fully implement outstanding agreements on salaries, allowances and welfare, even as it extended the suspension of its total indefinite comprehensive strike. The decision was taken at the end of the association's January National Executive Council meeting and scientific conference held in Jos Plateau State. In a communique jointly signed by NAD President Mohammed Suleiman, Secretary General Shaibu Ibrahim, and Publicity and Social Secretary Abdul Majid Ibrahim, the association expressed appreciation to President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang, and other key stakeholders for their roles in ongoing engagements. NAD said the extension of the strike suspension for another 4 weeks was a goodwill gesture in recognition of what it described as progress made by the federal government. We move now to the world of sports, where Carlos Alcaraz beats Alexander Zverev to reach a first Australian Open final. Spain's Alcaraz came through with 6-4, 7-6, 7-5, 6-7, 3-7, 6-7, 4-7, 7-5 after an enthralling 5 hours and 27 minutes. But the scoreline barely hints at the drama that occurred in Melbourne. Alcaraz had clinched the first 2 sets and was cruising when serving at 4-4 in the third. He suddenly pulled up and was left barely able to serve or move. Victory keeps alive the 22-year-old's bid to write more tennis history. Should he win on Sunday, he will become the youngest man to complete the career Grand Slam. Still in sport, Dallas Mavericks Cooper Flag became the first teenager to score 49 points in an NBA game as they lost 1-2-3 to 1-2-1 against the Charlotte Hornets at the American Airlines Center. The 19-year-old beat Clifford Robinson's previous record of 45 points set in 1980 when playing for the New Jersey Nets against the Detroit Pistons. Flag made his 43rd appearance at the season, also became the youngest player to score at least 40 points and 10 rebounds. The 20-year-old scored a career-high 34 points and was successful with 8 of his 12 three-pointer attempts, setting a rookie record for Charlotte. On entertainment news, legendary Afrobeat pioneer Fela Anikulapo Kuti is set to receive a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award at the Grammy Awards, nearly 3 decades after his death, marking a historic first for an African musician. Widely regarded as the architect of Afrobeat, Fela's recognition comes amid growing global acknowledgement of African music, following the worldwide success of Afrobeats and the Grammys' introduction of the Best African Performance category in 2024. Reacting to the honor, his son and Afrobeat musician Seun Kuti said, Fela has been in the hearts of the people for a long time, adding that the Grammys have acknowledged so. And that's what we have for you on the news at this hour. Do what's for us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTVLive.ng. This has been Spectrum Television News at noon. I am Uyai MM. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.